My music grew from the giants who came before. Absorbing their brilliance was how the Beatles found our sound.
A better moment than this one.
When you picture the architects of rock and roll, Sir Paul McCartney stands atop that pantheon. This iconic Beatle, Wings mastermind, and solo legend has woven melodies that echo through generations for over 6 decades.
I like this better. It was generally a better idea.
Yeah.
So you'd give in to each other.
Yeah.
Fame's just a fleeting glow, a half-eaten sandwich on a cold stage. He once reflected, yet beneath his disarming charm and seemingly infinite well.
Something in a style that shows me.
Of songs lies a devoted music fan with a keen ear and profound reverence for his influences. While McCartney's public persona radiates warmth, those in his inner circle have seen him transform into a wide-eyed enthusiast, gushing over artists who stir his soul.
I'm putting my whole reputation on the line.
It was time, really. The reason all of us in the Beatles shied away from Beatles material directly after the breakup.
Paul would dissect a song's structure like a kid unwrapping a gift. The late Beatles producer George Martin reportedly recalled, "From unsung pioneers to modern innovators, McCartney's musical loves reveal the roots of his genius."
Half a cheese sandwich curled up at the edge, and you think, so this is what it's all about, fame.
Today, we're counting down the 6 bands Paul McCartney adored most, and number. One will leave you stunned. Chuck Berry kicking off at number 1 is Chuck Berry, the guitar-slinging poet who crafted rock and roll's blueprint and profoundly shaped Paul McCartney's songwriting and stagecraft. Chuck's the real deal. Paul reportedly told an interviewer in 1999, "His songs are like perfect short stories. I spent years chasing the magic of Memphis, Tennessee." The obsession sparked at 14 when Paul heard Roll Over Beethoven blasting from a Liverpool record shop. Childhood pal Ivan Vaughn recalled Paul scribbling Barry's lyrics in a notebook, studying how each line painted vivid characters and propelled narratives. This inspired Beatles classics like Penny Lane, Eleanor Rigby, and She's Leaving Home, which channel Barry's storytelling flair. Bassists also note that Paul's melodic bass lines built on Barry's rhythmic drive, adding a lyrical quality. The connection deepened in 1972 at a London concert where they met backstage. Barry initially mistook Paul for another British invasion act, but when Paul recited obscure lyrics from Barry's catalog, Chuck was floored, reportedly telling his manager, "This Beatle knows my work better than I do." Barry's narrative, craft, rhythmic pulse, and electrifying presence became cornerstones of McCartney's art, from song structure to live energy. Buddy Holly and the Crickets at number 2 is the band that defined Paul McCartney's vision more than any other, Buddy. Holly and the Crickets, the ultimate model for the Beatles' identity. No Buddy Holly, no Beatles. It's that clear, Paul reportedly said during Holly's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction. Our early days were us trying to be the Crickets, down to our name. Beatles was a nod to their insect theme.
Was Buddy Holly, that would be the day. Is that true?
Yeah, most of the stars then were kind of good-looking guys.
The fascination began on Paul's 15th birthday in 1957, when That'll Be the Day hit him like a revelation. His brother Mike McCartney said Paul played the record until it nearly broke, dissecting Holly's hiccuping vocals, pioneering guitar, riffs, and self-penned songs. Buddy was everything, Paul told biographer Barry Miles. He wrote, sang, played lead, and ran the band. A total game changer that showed me what I could do. Paul even mimicked Holly's horn-rimmed glasses in Hamburg, and in 1976, bought Holly's song catalog's publishing rights to protect it, not for profit. His music was my upbringing, he reportedly said. Preserving it was my duty. The Crickets' self-contained band ethos, writing and performing their own material, became the Beatles' DNA, shaping their sound and spirit.
When you're with me, oh boy, I thought the world could say that to you.
The Beach Boys. Taking the 3rd spot is America's harmonic trailblazers, the Beach Boys, whose rivalry with the Beatles hit a profound mutual admiration that pushed both to new heights. Paul McCartney first encountered their music in 1963 as Beatlemania surged, and Beatles insider Tony Barrow said he was mesmerized by their vocal blends.
It's like other bands that you would listen to for harmonies besides the Everly Brothers.
Beach Boys, I think, was a big influence.
Paul spun Surfin' USA endlessly, analyzing those harmonies like a mathematician. Barrow told historian Mark Lewisone, the bond peaked in 1966 with Pet Sounds, inspired by the Beatles' Rubber Soul. Paul reportedly listened to God Only Knows over 100 times, proclaiming at a London gathering, "It's the finest song ever written." This inspired the Beatles to raise the bar with Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. The rivalry wasn't without strain. Brian Wilson's breakdown during the Unfinished Smile album weighed on Paul, who, per his assistant, wondered,
We always take my car 'cause it's never been beat and we've never missed yet.
our competition pushed Brian too far? Yet Paul's admiration endured. The Beach Boys' intricate harmonies and bold production left marks on Beatles tracks like Because and Wings, Back to the Egg, proving that creative respect can outlast even intense musical contests. Elvis Presley at number 4 is the king. Elvis Presley, whose electrifying presence ignited Paul McCartney's career and redefined his understanding of performance. Elvis is my why, Paul reportedly admitted in a 1968 Abbey Road moment. Heartbreak Hotel hit me so hard I couldn't speak for an hour. It was like a thunderbolt showing me my path.
And then later in LA, we met up with Elvis Presley for one great evening.
The obsession began in 1956 when a 14-year-old Paul saw Elvis on TV. Classmate Billy Kinsley recalled Paul showing up at school with slicked back hair, curling his lip like Elvis, as if absorbing his idol's aura. Pre-Elvis, Paul focused on instruments. Post-Elvis, he saw that a performer's charisma, swagger, danger, allure was crucial. This shaped his commanding Beatles and Wings stage presence. The connection climaxed in 1965 when the Beatles met Elvis at his Bel Air home. Beatles Aid. Tony Barrow said Paul, usually unflappable, was starstruck, mumbling gear repeatedly. Elvis's raw energy and magnetic charm became McCartney's template, fueling his ability to captivate audiences with both voice and persona.
Shift to Henry said the books for heaven's sake. No one's looking out a chance to make a break.
The Everly Brothers landing at number 5 are the Everly Brothers, whose flawless harmonies were a foundational pillar of the Beatles' early sound. Paul McCartney has always hailed Don and Phil Everly's impact. "John and I were the Everlys in our minds," he reportedly told BBC Radio in 2014. "Their voices blending as one showed me harmony's power."
Good-looking guys.
Everly Brothers.
Yeah.
No point denying it. The passion started at 15 when Paul, per friend Pete Shotton, spent weekends hunched over a record player, unraveling Bye Bye Love and Wake Up Little Susie. He was spellbound by their voices vibrating in perfect sync, creating a shimmering effect. This directly informed the Beatles' tight harmonies in songs like Please Please Me and From Me to You, which carried the Everlys' DNA. Paul told George Martin during their first Abbey Road session that he and John had practiced Everly-style harmonies for 2 years before recording. The bond was also personal. Amid 1963's fame whirlwind, Paul sought Don Everly's advice on handling stardom. Don's counsel on balancing art and commerce became a lifelong guide for McCartney. Little Richard, topping the list at number 6, is Little Richard. The flamboyant rock and roll pioneer whose raw power Paul McCartney revered as a young artist. This wasn't mere fandom, it was a transformative force that molded Paul's vocal and performance style.
Little Richard influence.
Yeah, big fan, yeah. One of those voices you couldn't believe, you know.
As a Liverpool teen, Paul spent hours trying to replicate Richard's primal scream per a 1997 Rolling Stone interview. His voice was so untamed, so liberating, I'd sing until my throat was hoarse. The connection became pivotal in 1962 when the Beatles shared a Hamburg bill with Richard. Beatles historian Mark Lewisone said Paul was so nervous he nearly fainted backstage. Richard, warming to the young bassist, shared piano tricks, reportedly saying, "Rock and roll, lad," means pounding those keys like you're settling a score. Paul internalized it. This influence roars in Paul's rawest vocals, from "I'm down" to "Oh, darling" to "Maybe I'm amazed."
Should work with Richard in Hamburg, really. Yeah, what was that like?
Where Richard's scream adds emotional punch. Meeting his hero in Hamburg solidified Paul's view of performance as a fearless outpouring, a hallmark of his 6-decade career. From Chuck Berry's storytelling to Little Richard's vocal fire, these 6 bands formed the musical core of Paul McCartney's genius. His openness about their influence underscores that even legends stand on others' shoulders. If you enjoyed this journey into Paul's musical passions, hit that like button, subscribe for more rock history, and share your thoughts in the comments. Did we miss any bands Paul loved? Drop your knowledge below and join the conversation. Stay tuned for our next deep dive into music's untold stories. You won't want to miss it.